years, another 10 years of building that business while I kept my day job. In 1988, from that first 78 vintage, I quit my day job. People thought I was crazy. Consecutively, we established this reputation for Cabernet and for Merlot. That was the big deal at the time. The reason why we picked the Bordeaux varieties was because our region is Region 2, Low Region 3, which our heat units are the same as Oakville, Napa Valley. So year in and year out, they may vary a little bit, but that's where we sit. The Bordeaux varieties were the ones that were going to prove to be the ones to make the best wines out of. At one time, the Wine Spectator called us the master of Merlot. And we were making these gorgeous, grapey, just fleshy, fruity Merlots. They weren't especially long-lived, but they were glorious when you popped the cork. And so I paid a visit to Napa Valley and went into some of these restaurants saying, oh, all the Napa Valley winemakers are coming in and they're buying your wine. They want to see what you're doing with Merlot. Of course, Merlot appears a different creature than down there. Today, our Merlots are bigger, longer lived. As a mature winery, I always kept that style going. As the winery matured and people understood more, we gradually increased the size and the structure of our wines. When we won the Best Cab in the Nation with the 1978 Cabernet, we weren't necessarily locked into any style. However, I settled on an international style or classically proportioned with good balance, fruit, wood, oak. I did deviate from time to time on the style. Merlots were the first one to get that softening process because it was natural for that. Let Merlot be Merlot, let Cabernet be Cabernet. My son put it well when he said that Dad was making Michel Rolland type wines before Michel Rolland. Well, the price-quality ratio has always been very paramount for us, very conscious of our customers, how we can get more for our product as well. We're not Napa Valley, we're Washington State. More importantly, we're Walla Walla Valley. And so we've always raised our prices just in small increments. Even after the big 78 thing hit, we were still just mom and pop, and you can't just all of a sudden go to the stratosphere with pricing and expect to get people to tag along. So we'd always do it slowly, $5 at a time, a vintage, and it'd go on like that. Also, it's changing now, but vineyard pricing and costs of production are less. It's lower than in some of the more established regions with a long history, like Napa. But here's something very interesting. Walla Walla Valley has more 90-plus rated wines than any other region in the world. Now that is pretty incredible. That can extend to the whole of Washington State as well, and to other regions, but primarily Walla Walla. The time is going to come when this region will have that cachet. People are already saying Walla Walla has more cachet than Washington State as a whole. People are coming, you build it and they'll come, and they're buying these great wines, and they're finding real bargains here too. The slow go was the thing that worked for us. It doesn't work for everybody. But so often I've seen too many people make too much because they've had early successes, and then they double or triple production, and then they're in a position where they have a lot of juice to sell, and so all of a sudden they've got to not only be a winemaker, be a marketer, and figure out how they're going to move that product into the marketing scheme, and how are you going to do that? That's tough. We are an allocated winery, which means that we have a subscription list and we have a list of distributors. We send out our mailer, and people can have the opportunity to buy our wines. We're not open to the public. We chose to do it that way because our house is about 30 steps away from where we're sitting right now. And so we didn't want the tail to wag the dog. It was a way of controlling it, and also because our wines are sought after and we're lower production, it was a natural fit. It wasn't like a moment of genius or inspiration. It's just something we had to do out of necessity, and we stuck with it, and it works, and people have responded in kind to it. And so that's how we've managed that. Direct consumer sales are roughly around 65% to 70%. Building the mailing list was a real challenge. You absolutely have to start slow. So over time, yes, we had some potential issues. We had to be transcending all the state's laws and all that. It's quite a challenge. It provides us with the retail sales, which really is the bread and butter of most wineries of our size. We have been all the states since 1999, and we just had to get total control of the vineyards. In the early days, my wife and I and Chris were making really damn good wines from higher cropped vineyards. That just shows the quality of our region, that you can get even larger crops and still make really good wines. What really drove us to going estate vineyards was several freezes in Washington that most people were aware happened. And we can have loss of crop because of these low minimum temperatures. We really needed to push the hillsides because cold air runs downhill and pools up in the lower vineyards. And so as our winery matured, we were taking some of those proceeds and pushing the hills, buying pieces of ground on the hillsides, and then planting our own grapes, managing our own viticulture, and lowering our crop yields. And we lowered the crop yields also as a direct benefit for quality, but also to not stress those vines, not push them too far. They became more winter hardy in the process. In the whole scheme of trying to achieve that, we've achieved this stupendous quality. And from one side of the valley to the other, it changes the style of these grapes. You know, you get a little higher elevations, and to the east and north of the valley, you get more size, more minerality, structure, higher tannins, and on the other side of the valley, yeah, more flowery, more fruity characters that at the same types of elevations and different soil types from one to the other.